Welcome back to Record Rift, where we tear through history's pages to reveal the moments that shaped our world. Today, we're stepping into the twilight of Imperial China, to the fall of the Qing Dynasty in 1911, a cataclysm that ended 2,000 years of monarchy. Picture a vast empire, once the world's mightiest, crumbling under rebellion, foreign pressure, and a cry for change. The 1911 revolution didn't just topple a dynasty. It birthed modern China, setting the stage for a century of transformation. Why did the Qing collapse? Who were the visionaries and rebels who reshaped a nation? Join us as we explore the dramatic end of Imperial China, a saga of decay, defiance, and rebirth. Let's dive into the chaos. The Qing Dynasty, ruling China from 1644, was a colossus, governing a quarter of the world's population. At its peak under emperors like Kangxi and Qianlong, it spanned modern China, Mongolia, and parts of Siberia, with a thriving economy driven by silk, tea, and porcelain. The Qing, ethnic Manchus, maintained Chinese traditions while enforcing their rule through a rigid bureaucracy. By the 19th century, however, cracks appeared. Overpopulation strained resources, with 400 million people by 1800 taxing food supplies. Corruption festered, and the bureaucracy grew inefficient, unable to address growing unrest. External pressures mounted. The Opium Wars, 1839 to 1860, humiliated China, forcing unequal treaties at open ports and ceded Hong Kong to Britain. Foreign powers, Britain, France, Russia, and Japan, carved out spheres of influence, eroding sovereignty. Internal rebellions like the Taiping Rebellion, 1850 to 1864, killed 20 to 30 million and exposed Qing weakness. By the late 19th century, the dynasty's mandate of heaven was faltering, as reformers and revolutionaries began dreaming of a new China, free from imperial rule and foreign domination. By the 1890s, the Qing were teetering. The First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, was a crushing defeat, with Japan seizing Taiwan and exposing China's military obsolescence. Empress Dowager Cixi, wielding power behind the throne, diverted funds meant for naval modernization to rebuild the Summer Palace, prioritizing luxury over reform. The Boxer Rebellion, 1899 to 1901, an anti-foreign uprising, backfired when foreign armies sacked Beijing, further humiliating the Qing. Reform attempts like the 100 Days Reform in 1898 led by Kang Yue and Guangxu Emperor were crushed by Cixi's conservative faction, stifling modernization. Social unrest grew. Peasants faced poverty and famine, while a new urban class, students, merchants, and intellectuals, embraced Western ideas of democracy and nationalism. Secret societies, like the Tongmenghui led by Sun Yat-sen, plotted revolution, inspired by Japan's Meiji Restoration and Western revolutions. The Qing's final years saw desperate reforms, like abolishing the ancient examination system in 1905 and promising a constitution. But these came too late. By 1911, the dynasty was a hollow shell, ripe for collapse under the weight of its own failures and a restless nation's demands. The spark came on October 10, 1911, in Wuchang, when mutiny among Qing soldiers ignited the Xinhai Revolution. The uprising, fueled by revolutionary groups like Sun Yat-sen's Tongmenghui, spread rapidly across southern China. Soldiers, students, and merchants joined the cause, declaring provinces independent from Qing rule. The rebels, armed with modern rifles and nationalist fervor, faced a demoralized Qing army, weakened by decades of neglect. Key cities like Nanjing fell, and by December, revolutionaries formed a provisional government in Nanjing, electing Sun Yat-sen as provisional president. The Qing, led by the child Emperor Puyi and Regent Cixi's successors, scrambled to respond. General Yuan Shikai, commanding the modern Beiyang army, was tasked with crushing the rebellion but played both sides. Realizing the dynasty was doomed, Yuan negotiated with the revolutionaries. On February 12, 1912, Puyi abdicated, ending the Qing dynasty and 2,000 years of imperial rule. The Republic of China was born, with Yuan Shikai as president, betraying Sun Yat-sen's democratic vision. The revolution, though swift, left 200,000 dead in a fragmented nation, setting the stage for decades of warlordism and civil war. The fall of the Qing was a seismic shift, ending Asia's longest imperial tradition. The Republic of China, founded in 1912, aimed for democracy but quickly faltered. Yuan Shikai's attempt to crown himself emperor in 1915 sparked rebellion, and his death in 1916 plunged China into the warlord era, with regional powers vying for control. Sun Yat-sen's nationalist party, Kuomintang, struggled to unify the country, while the Communist Party, founded in 1921, gained traction among peasants. Foreign powers continued exploiting China, with Japan invading in the 1930s, prolonging the century of humiliation. The revolution's social impact was profound. Confucian hierarchies weakened, and women's rights, education, and industrialization gained momentum, though unevenly. The Qing's collapse inspired anti-imperial movements across Asia, from India to Vietnam. Yet, China's path to stability was long. Only in 1949, with Mao Zedong's communist victory, did a unified government emerge, though at great cost. The 1911 revolution marked the end of monarchy, but the start of a turbulent quest for a modern Chinese identity. The fall of the Qing Dynasty was a turning point, closing the imperial era and launching China's modern age. It shattered the Confucian order, paving the way for nationalism, communism, and today's People's Republic of China. Sun Yat-sen, hailed as the father of modern China, remains a symbol of revolutionary ideals, though his democratic vision took decades to partially realize. The revolution's legacy lives in China's drive for sovereignty and global power, a response to the humiliations of the Qing's final years. Culturally, the fall inspired literature, film, and art exploring China's transformation, from Lu Sun stories to modern epics. It also left scars. Division, war, and foreign exploitation shaped a century of struggle. The 1911 revolution reminds us that empires, no matter how grand, can fall when they resist change. It's a story of collapse and creation, a spark that ignited China's journey to reclaim its place in the world. That's the epic saga of the Qing Dynasty's fall, a revolution that ended an empire and birthed modern China. What do you think? Could the Qing have survived with bolder reforms, or was revolution inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what historical upheaval you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If this journey through 1911 gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep uncovering the rifts that shape our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.